Today, we're going to explore how AI success truly hinges on IT frameworks designed for learning. And we're also going to talk about some of the challenges that arise as organizations try to bolt AI onto legacy architecture. So when it comes to the fundamental barrier that organizations face as they attempt to realize AI, one of the challenges is that many enterprises attempt to attach AI capabilities to legacy IT environments. And those legacy environments have typically been built for stability, repetition, and fixed processes. Now, AI actually operates differently. It really truly focuses on probability, continuous learning, and adaptation. And when adaptive systems run on the deterministic foundations that we've already created, that's where the friction appears. And that friction appears across data, across your governance, your security, and also your trust and compliance areas. And as a result, AI pilots often stall before reaching enterprise scale. We have seen many reports of this from various consulting agencies. And the problem here is not model capability, it's truly the existing architectural design. AI readiness is going to require re-engineering the underlying IT framework instead of simply adding new tools to your portfolio. So looking ahead, the CIO's role is really going to undergo a profound transformation in the coming years. When we think about the existing expectations that are placed on the CIO, CIOs have typically really led the organization as we've moved to the cloud, as we've started to talk about cybersecurity and re-engineering those frontiers. But now the role is really extending beyond that infrastructure stability oversight to overseeing how algorithmic decisions will shape business results. And as regulatory scrutiny intensifies, the responsibility for AI outcomes is truly going to be viewed as an executive obligation instead of a technical priority. When we think about artificial intelligence, it's redefining that enterprise leadership because of those probabilistic components and the learning-driven decision systems. Those are directly being weaved into the operational fabric of your organization. So CIOs are going to have to confirm that all of these AI deployments, whether they're pilots, whether they are truly at enterprise scale, that they are aligning with applicable laws and regulatory standards, as well as ethical principles, which we're hearing more and more about. And as those requirements increasingly center on the visibility, the equity, and the ability to clearly articulate what the algorithms are doing, we're really going to have to start coordinating very closely with our legal and compliance teams, and also start thinking about some forward-looking government and discipline risk oversight in relation to AI. Now, I've mentioned a few times about the stability versus the learning. When we think about how we typically have engineered enterprise technology environments, we have structured them to really control variance, to standardize our business processes, and to minimize deviation. AI does the exact opposite. It introduces systems that are continuously adapting, reinterpreting business signals, and updating outputs in real time in response to changing data conditions. And the tension that we're seeing is not about the performance. It's actually about the design philosophy itself. So when learning systems operate inside of infrastructure built to suppress change, that's where you get the pressure that starts to accumulate, whether it's in your architectural decisions, in your governance controls, and quite often in your user confidence as well. So the question facing CIOs is no longer whether the systems are dependable. It has pivoted, and now we're focused on whether the systems can safely accommodate the intelligence that evolves over time as we start to ramp up our AI implementations. And we have a lot of different regulatory expectations. This field is steadily maturing, so the way that we're going about regulation is constantly shifting. We have heightened focus on the financial sector, oversight where we're looking at the traceability, the interpretability, and the defensibility of the AI algorithms and the LLMs that we're weaving into our environments. the key here is that most legacy environments were never instrumented with this type of observability in place. So we really have to start thinking about what is the architectural intent of our organization when we start contemplating how we're going to dive into AI. Now, I've talked a bit about the legacy of CIOs, what we have today. So let's start talking through the misalignment of the underlying frameworks themselves. So the real breakdown that occurs as we start thinking about, is our organization ready to implement AI? It's that enterprise translation of what it means to actually implement AI. AI models typically perform exceptionally well in controlled environments, and this is all about the analytical strength of the models and the predictive accuracy. But that success in isolation as you're running your pilots, your POCs, does not equate to enterprise viability. And this challenge typically begins when organizations start walking down the path to operationalize their models within existing complex production ecosystems. And what determines the success as you start down the path of implementing AI is not about the brilliance, the strength of your algorithms, but about your institution. Is your institution ready for these types of dynamic implementations?